How's it going, everybody? Welcome back in to the Ranger wrap up here on the Illuminerdi YouTube channel, where we talk about everything going on in the world of Power Rangers while we still can. My name is Bryce West. I will be your host for today, and I'm alongside Josh Goldman. Josh, how are you doing today?
Yo, I am good. We're not gonna get into the issues that I had last week, but I'm a lot better.
That's
That's
good.
great.
Speaking of issues, Larry's not here today. His internet is out. So that's why we
Such he makes like excuse. Oh, I'm sick. Oh, my internet's out. Oh, I got stuck on the train tracks because some evil villain is trying to kill me.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, come on.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to have an intervention with Larry here in the coming weeks. But no, we love Larry. Unfortunately, his internet guy won't be there till Monday.
Which
So
I totally get.
yeah,
I'm sure we've all been there, like
yeah,
waiting for the internet guy and being like, dude, I
yeah.
just want to watch the new episode of For All Mankind. Please fix my internet.
Oh, that
Like,
reminds me.
you know.
Yeah, I gotta watch the new episode of Doctor Who today too.
Oh
But
yeah.
it's the
That
last
dropped
14th
today.
Doctor episode. Yeah.
Yeah, we get the new guy.
Yeah.
Which I'm still. I feel bad because I don't know how to pronounce his
I'm
name.
not
I
gonna
don't
try
want to
either.
pronounce it because I don't want to mess it up. But
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I've enjoyed the first two. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll
I
see
thought
how
the
this one
second
is.
one was really freaking weird. But
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, but that is kind of Doctor Who though. So I mean, I don't know. Overall, and just in general, I've really enjoyed seeing David Tennant and Captain Tate back. That's been
Yeah,
really
it's
cool.
been a lot of fun. I didn't realize how long it had been since her season.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
It's been like what, like over 10
now,
years, right?
yeah. So I'm already at that age where I'm just feeling old from talking with people your age about
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah,
But
I
like
bet.
seeing that, I'm just like, oh no.
Were you
It's
like
just
20
all.
years older than me?
I'm 79.
You're
Not
79.
79 years old. I was born in 79.
Oh, okay. That's actually the same year that my mother was born.
Their parents are still together, right?
No, absolutely not.
No.
No, they're like super not together. Yeah, they're.
Huh. Does she want to move out to LA with you?
Whoa. Anyway, she does.
Moving on.
Yeah, she does currently have a partner, a long-term partner.
Oh.
So.
All right.
I'll let her and him know that you said that. But today we're going to be talking about Power Rangers Cosmic Fury, episode 7. Very appropriate conversation for today's episode, because it's funny that it isn't. But in this episode, the Rangers come up with an operation, and for some reason it includes seasoning and condiments, and that's why the episode is called this.
I mean, it makes sense because of Aeon's like of cooking and baking and all that kind of stuff, and the everything that they have to use.
Like I would have thought they would have done something with just like the Dark Ranger instead, and like since this is like his swan song or whatever. But I don't know.
I know who he is only because I know who he is, but I'm not really familiar with the storyline because I didn't watch. Wait, that was Dino Thunder, right?
Dino Charge.
Dino Charge.
Yeah. Well, it's actually technically Dino Super Charge.
Okay.
But anyway, we can go into that later. But well, actually, we will later on in the show. We will be kind of talking about the origins of the Dark Ranger, because most of it actually happened in the comic books.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Are the comic books officially canon to the show universe?
It depends on who you ask.
It's like Star Wars, like where some people are like, no, this book is absolutely canon, and then other people are like,
because
not so much.
It started off absolutely not, because they had like cell phones and stuff at the very beginning,
right,
and so it was like modern. It was supposed to be like present day, and eventually they kind of got rid of that, and they were like, oh, actually, we kind of want this to like connect to like the show. But then they were like, but then now with Simon Bennett, and they brought in the Dark Ranger, who's primarily a comic book character, at least in his Ranger form.
Yeah.
Then Simon Bennett was like, "Oh, we didn't look at the comics at all," and so honestly, it depends on the time and it depends on who you ask. But
that tracks. It's like everything else then.
Yeah, but a major part of this plan is Heckle infiltrating the villain's base and sort of having this weird relationship with Squillia.
But he catfished her.
Well, not only did he catfish her, but she's like I'm pretty sure she's supposed to be like a teenager.
Yeah. Well, we don't. So this is one of those things like Edward in Twilight, where we don't really know how old she's supposed to be. Like she acts like a teenager, but for all we know, she could be like 3,000 years old.
I guess so, and like I guess also Heckle's technically like 65 million years old. So I don't. Yeah, but even then, I mean, she's supposed to be like this TikTok, Snapchat girl. But then, like, even if we say that Heckle was a teenager in Dino Charge, he definitely wasn't.
That was what, like either. 10 years ago.
20. His season was 2016.
So it's 8 years ago.
Yeah,
7-8 years ago.
But yeah, even if we were generous and say that he was a teenager in Dino Charge, which he definitely was not, then that's still super sus. But anyway.
Yeah.
It was a really weird thing for them to do. Like, honestly, it would have made more sense for him to like be catfishing the mom.
Yes.
than the girl. But
I don't know how that would have worked out plot wise though.
Well, yeah, I mean, plot wise, it makes more sense, I guess.
Yeah.
For the girl, but it's still kind of weird to think about. I
agree. That's why you just have to not think about it. You know, it's like it's like what like we've been talking about anime recently, and it's the same thing in there where like you watch it, you're like, oh, that's kind of creepy.
Oh yeah, Evangelion is full of it. Have you watched Evangelion?
Not it like I watched it when I was younger than you are, so that was.
Probably whenever it first came out, yeah.
I think it was black and white TVs were still a thing. I needed rabbit. No,
came out in '96.
Yeah, no. But square TVs were still a thing.
Yeah, but yeah, Evangelion. Like, look, Hideki Anno is like a master storyteller, but he's kind of also a creep.
I mean, it's a cultural thing. Yeah, and that's really what it comes down to. Yeah, because like you get the same thing in Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball.
To a certain extent, yeah. At least in Dragon Ball Z, for the most part, they're not like children though.
Right.
In Evangelion, they're kids.
But like Sword Art Online, like like that's a lot more recent. You still have like creepy, weird stuff going on in that too. So it's what I think it's one of those things where as an American, we're so ingrained in our culture and how things are here that it's hard sometimes to understand that every other culture isn't necessarily like us and it has different expectations when it comes to the type of media that they consume and what's acceptable and what's not.
Yeah, I still think it's a little weird.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And and there's nothing wrong with that because that's what you're used to.
Like, it's just like I just recently watched. I promise we're gonna get back to Power Rangers sometime. But I just watched Evangelion Rebuild 2.22 or whatever bullshit they called it, and it was like, the Rebuild movies are awesome. But I watched it and it was just like, God, I love this movie. It's like so freaking amazing. But like, do we need to have Asuka completely naked?
Right? Yeah. It's
like, come on. Anyway, all right, back to Power Rangers. But so we actually get to see Heckle morph into the Dark Ranger for the first time in the television show. So we see.
Oh, Heckle, I didn't know that was a thing either.
Yeah. So we saw Heckle and Dino supercharged. He was like this Jekyll and Hyde kind of thing. Like there was Heckle and then there was the monster or whatever. And then eventually, he's able to separate himself from Snide, and then he joins the Rangers at the very end, but they don't you never get to see him transform because
Right,
he has
right.
the dark energy. He had it the whole show, but that's what corrupted him and made him heckle and snide. And but then it wasn't until the comics later, which we'll talk about at the end of the show, that he actually gets to use the powers.
Gotcha.
I think because the suit is from one of the Kyoryuger movies. I think that was kind of the issue there of getting the rights to use the suit, and that's why we didn't get to see Death Ryuger and Dino Charge. Um, but yeah, and so basically their plan is to have Heckle kind of infiltrate their base, be able to shut down the Megazord blocker or whatever, because the whole explanation behind the reasoning why all the Rangers didn't just team up and take down Lord Zed all at once is because the Lord Zed had a Megazord blocker that affected the entire Earth, and
Well,
so nobody could use their Megazords.
that was the field that was being produced by the Squidrills, right?
Yeah, yeah, I'm pretty sure. But and then so the Rangers head towards Earth in their cockpit or in their swords, and then basically are immediately shut down, and they gotta figure out some other tactic. Zeto is using his staff again. He's not supposed to be doing that. It's hurting him. Uh, you know, and then we actually they kind of regroup, and Zeto kind of reveals to Ion and Solon that he is dying.
Not willingly though. They had to drag that shit out of
Yeah,
him.
right. Here's like you're gonna tell us what's going on with you, whether you like it or not. Can you imagine if like you had like a family member that was like sick, and like you knew that they just weren't trying to like burden you, but like you walked up to them and like said, "Hey,"
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
that's kind of what this was.
it's that's a shitty situation like all around.
Yeah,
Because like you know, if you think about like Zato dealing with that, not wanting to burden his friends and
yeah,
more or less his family with knowing that was going to happen and trying to protect him and stop him from doing that versus knowing that he had to for the greater good.
yeah,
But now Aeon and Solon have that information, and he's asking
yeah,
them not to share it.
yeah.
Uh,
So the
and so
burden's almost even larger now.
right, and now they're stuck with having to potentially lie to their friends and family about the whole thing too. And it's just it's I understand all sides of it, and I think that that's an actual um that's a good piece of storytelling.
Yeah,
Just because of how realistic that kind of a thing actually
yeah,
is, and I think people can relate to that because like if you God forbid had like cancer or something, and
mhm,
you didn't want to burden other people, you would be stuck in that same position,
yeah.
and it's something that is hard to think about, but also is something that a lot of people do have to deal with.
Yeah, I've never really thought about it, but I mean, if I'm gonna be like really grim and dark for a second, like if I were like dying, I
Yeah,
probably wouldn't tell that many people. At least just for me personally.
yeah, yeah.
For probably a lot of the same reason that Zato didn't want to tell anybody. Uh,
What like because you would have like whether it's imagined or real, you would always feel that people are treating you different because of it.
yeah. Well, I also just don't want people to constantly be depressed around me.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
you know,
exactly.
uh, so yeah, like I think personally for me, I kind of see where Zato is coming from there. But I mean, like I joked about it earlier, but I also do see like where Ion and Solon were coming from too. Like they're
Absolutely,
worried about him,
absolutely. But
But
not only being worried about him, but if something were to happen because he was using his magic and other people didn't know that it was draining his life force,
yeah,
then that potentially puts them into a situation that they're not prepared to deal with on the battlefield,
yeah,
just because they don't know what's actually going on. So it's I understand it. At the same time, it is kind of a selfish decision, just based off of what was happening.
yeah.
But we kind of see that come to a head and get resolved in, I think it's the next episode.
Um, Like, you mean whenever Zeto finally like?
Well, no, when everyone else finally finds out.
Oh,
because
yeah, that was the next episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because in episode 9, and then and then he becomes a god.
Yeah.
Anyway, but anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves here. But yeah. So some of the Rangers are captured in Lord Zed prison, I guess. They've kind of got very kind of like camps around the world.
Yeah.
Just like capturing humans. So that's pretty dark for Power Rangers. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, it is, and especially and kind of like obviously this show came out a while back now, but in light of what's happening in the world today, it's kind of on the nose a little bit.
Yeah. Oh well, I think that I think Cosmic Fury came out right before all of that. I think Cosmic Fury. Some people got inspired, and then but
right.
But yeah. But I think it was right before because and then also they filmed this way before.
Oh yeah. Obviously they filmed it long before. Yeah, it came out September 29th. So that was like a week before all that started.
And then Twitter went nuts.
Wow.
So
that happened about a year and a half ago.
Well, yeah. But yeah. Anyway, instead of talking about geopolitics,
right?
but yeah, and then Ion, Solon, and Zeto are working with Tarek to help free everybody. And basically,
I don't remember if I told you during Dino Fury, but I finally figured out who he looks like. Because throughout the whole thing, I was like, this dude that's playing what's his name? Tarek. This dude looks really this dude looks really familiar. I couldn't figure out who he looked like until today. He looks like Scott Adkins. I don't know if you know who that is.
I'm about to. Let's see.
He's a normally like a stunt actor, but
he kind of does. Yeah.
And I thought that's who he was at first, and I was like, no, I don't think it is. I just never bothered to look it up until today.
Yeah, he also directs some of the John. No, that's a different guy. Anyway, I know. Like, I'm pretty sure the stunt coordinator on the John Wick movies also directed a bit.
He was in an episode of Time Force. No. The guy that you're talking about. David Leitch, I think it was.
Yes. Yeah, that's who I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, he was the guy who wanted to fight the Blue Ranger. No, not the Blue Ranger. I can't remember which one it was. It's been a while since I've watched it now. Yeah.
But oh shit.
Hey, Hollywood Purgatory is in the chat with us. He knows who Scott Adkins is. He was in The Expendables 2 and a lot of action movies. He was also in Doctor Strange and John Wick Chapter 4.
There we go.
So there you go.
But yeah, so Zeto reveals all of this information to Ion and to Solon, and then he's immediately like, "Okay, I got an idea. We got to use the magic again."
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, like anyone who didn't see that coming.
Yeah. But it's kind of cool because they made Solon really big,
right?
And that distracted the villains, and then Ion was able to put up the signal blockers or whatever.
To
shut down the Zord blocking signal, or whatever. And then they were able to free everybody from the prison camps. And so that was cool. We get to see a little reunion between Javi and Izzy and their parents, which was nice. And then they're immediately like, "Oh, gotta go. By the way, I have a robot arm."
Right? Like, here's this is one of the things about these kind of, like, I get it, and you kind of have to suspend disbelief for this.
Yeah.
But when you get released by a prison camp or from a prison camp where you were being held captive by aliens and you're set free by your kids, and then your kids are like, hey, we're gonna stay behind and take care of this shit, you guys go hide. My first reaction wouldn't be, we're gonna talk about this when you get home. It's gonna be like, wait, what the fuck is happening?
My thing,
why are you guys involved in this?
Here's the dealio. Hobby now has this big robot arm,
right,
in both his ranger suit and his regular suit.
Right.
In my own head canon, I'm like, okay, they're not freaking idiots. They figured it out.
Right.
You know,
right.
But we never got to see that scene. And so, and we definitely, I think, needed to have that scene.
Yeah. Well, it's like, did you watch the new Superman cartoon? My Adventures with Superman.
I literally watched the first episode and I liked it. I just didn't keep watching it for whatever reason.
But okay, so
I need to get back to it though.
So for anyone who's watching this or maybe watching this, and for you, I don't want to spoil it, but obviously we know Superman has a secret identity. He's Clark Kent.
Yes.
Sorry, spoiler alert.
I've heard that before, yeah.
And what we're talking about basically comes up and happens in that show. Okay. So they
Pop Kent or whatever.
No.
Oh. Whatever.
Yeah. but how it's I liked how they handled it there. I think it was done really well.
That was a stupid question. Anyway, but yeah. Anyway, they're free, and now we get a pretty long battle, and we can actually our producer Shay, we can just cycle through images 9 through 19.
Oh, we're skipping ahead
during this segment. Yeah. Well, no, I'm just saying that, like, they're all the battle.
Gotcha.
The battle, and anyway.
Sorry, Hollywood Purgatory in the chat is asking, did Hobby lose his arm? So I'm going to guess that you have not seen the first few episodes of the show. That happened in what episode 2?
1
or 1? That was 1.
Yeah. He loses his arm. He uses the staff to put it in the statue, and that's what summons the Zords. But the magic was so powerful it blew off his arm.
And then Billy gives him a Winter Soldier arm.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, this battle was really cool. I think it was one of the cooler fights, if not the coolest fight in the show. We finally get to see Heckle morph with Billy, which was really cool to see such a fan favorite, fan requested character morph with like a Power Rangers legend. You know, and his morpher is so cool with the boomerang, how it like comes down like that. That's not how it worked in the Sentai footage. So it was pretty. It was just his weapon. So it was cool to have them use the boomerang as the transformation device too.
That whole morphing sequence. I'm gonna go off topic here again for a second too. I don't know if you've ever seen it or if you remember it, but there was it might have been like a Funny or Die or a College Humor sketch where it was the Power Rangers fighting one of the villains, and they're like, it's morphin' time, and they start to morph. And, you know, they take like forever to do it, like it happens in the show. And the villain just walks up and starts beating the crap out of them and defeats them all. And I was like, that's what's realistic here. I'll have to send that to you.
One of the Super Sentai seasons, Kikai Sentai Zenkaiger, it makes fun of itself a lot. It makes fun of the whole point of the season is basically to make fun of Super Sentai. And they kind of play around with that a lot, where it's just like, how come it takes too long, or we're like, sometimes the villains will like start running up to them while they're like dancing or whatever, doing their thing, and if like there's like an episode where they turn into like mushrooms and like have mushroom heads, and then like when in the morph sequence or the transformation sequence in Sentai, it literally has the mushroom head, like, so they like change the actual like graphics and stuff to make it fit with like the weird shit that's going on. It's actually really funny. But this is really cool. I see everybody lined up there. Everybody's kind of doing their own thing. We get to see Fern, the Orange Ranger, use her nunchucks a lot more in action. I've said it a million times throughout the course of this show, but the weapons this season are just so freaking awesome. I really love them a lot. It's pretty epic. And then we also get to see Tarek fight a little
bit,
which was pretty cool.
So does he no longer have the Void Knight armor? Is he not able to get into that anymore?
I guess not. I mean, whenever, I don't know, because I guess he could have lost it whenever the Dino Fury Rangers lost their powers.
Right.
Because I'm pretty sure his powers are somewhat based off of Zeto's powers. Because it's like
that makes sense.
It's like a corrupt version of the Dino Knight Morpher.
Yeah.
And that's Zeto's power up. So I don't know. I can't really remember. I don't know if he lost him at the end of Dino Fury or. Because I definitely don't think they explained it in the show. I thought it would have been cool. There was in Ryu Soldier, which is what Dino Fury was based off of. They did have a Ryu Soul Brown at the very end of the show, and I thought it would have been cool if they gave him that suit, because they never used it in Dino Fury, and it's basically just a recolor of Void Knight. But they didn't. Which, I mean, this episode already had so much going on, So I don't know if it would have hurt it.
Yeah.
Maybe, if you added that on top of it. But yeah, I mean, regardless, Tarek was a freaking badass.
Oh yeah.
I don't think he needed the powers.
No, I like that last scene where he defeated what was the name of the villain that he
who knows
exploded?
It was one of the monsters of the week. So
yeah, it was the one that was teamed up with the kid, the teenager.
I don't remember.
Right? The bird face guy. I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Oh, it was that guy. Yeah,
because he did the thing. He pulled the knives and he was like, "Wait, what happened?" And then he Tarek is still standing there in his pose, and then the guy explodes, and then he does the turnaround thing.
He got a Power Ranger pose, and he wasn't even a Ranger anymore.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool though. And then we got a Megazord fight, and they defeat it. They defeat the bad guy. Shocker, actually. But I will say this though. Like, we do have a lot of Megazord fights to where it's not clear who's gonna win, and so or it leads into something else, and so I did appreciate that, to where it wasn't just like an automatic win for the Rangers every time.
Yeah, well, this was also Fern's first time in a Megazord battle, like as the Orange Ranger.
Like, actually,
yeah.
I think she piloted a Zord before. But
she accidentally summoned the Wolf Zord before she had turned.
Right. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, Fern is awesome. We finally got an Orange Ranger. I feel like it's been like forever since we talked about that episode. But
yeah.
But yeah.
I think that was the last episode that I was on. I think
you were on that one too.
What was it? I was on the one with the rock band.
Oh, that was episode 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm talking about episode 6.
Oh. Yeah, that was the last one. Oh.
Yeah.
They've all kind of merged together for me.
Yeah, they have. But yeah, and then they're at the end, they're able to capture Squilla, and they handcuff her and take her to Tarek's hideout, and then that was it.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I think I like about this season overall is that it's paced really well. Like
for the most part.
Yeah, there's a bit here and there where like the actual episode itself feels rushed, but the overall storyline feels like well paced, because like this was episode 7, and this was clearly the end of that second act, and we're going into a new act of the thing, and just it's like kind of like the end of Empire, I guess, a little bit, except instead of being on a down note with the Empire winning, the Rebels won, and now we're moving into like and
now they're gonna win again.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed the episode. It kind of sucks that Heckle was kind of just a glorified cameo in this. I wish they had more to do, especially with the level of hype that this character had, because I mean, it's a character we missed out on the first go around, and then we finally got him, and he just kind of didn't really do too much.
For me, since I'm not really familiar with him, I don't feel the same way about it that you do. But from my end, if it does feel like he was not necessarily wasted, but it felt like he could have had more to do.
Yes, absolutely, he could have had more to do, because I mean, this character is basically the missed opportunity of the bunch, and they were like, okay, this is our last season, we're gonna come back and we're gonna do this because we missed it, and it just kind of just like, I'm glad that they did it, but it's just like, I don't know. Like you said, I wish they gave him more to do.
Yeah.
Or showed up again, because like he never shows up again. It was like he could have been in the finale or something to help out the
right.
Ranger. Like, yeah, it's kind of weird. But.
Yeah, I don't know. So Hollywood Purgatory is asking. He says now we just need a Brown Ranger. Is a Brown Ranger a thing? Like, has there ever been a Brown Ranger? Like, I'm not familiar
that's what
with.
I was talking about.
Yeah.
In Ryu Soldier, they had Ryu
Okay.
Brown, and it was just a recolor of Void Knight. And that's
gotcha.
what I was.
Okay.
That's what I wanted them to do with Tarek. But they didn't.
Yeah. Well,
maybe.
you know.
Honestly, I feel like we had 2 or 3 more episodes. I feel like that would have been perfect for this season.
Right.
But with the 10 we got, I still think was pretty solid though. But yeah, overall I enjoyed the episode. I just wish we got a little more. But.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the the breakdown of the episode on fandom. And so, something that I didn't even realize while watching this is that Ollie didn't appear in this episode.
Oh, yeah, I guess he didn't.
not at all. Like after I read that, I was like, wait, wasn't he in the beginning? No, he didn't appear at all.
I didn't notice that right now either.
Lord Zed didn't make any appearance in this episode, and Bajillionaire didn't appear at all.
Well, we had a lot going on in this.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. It still is kind of shocking to hear though.
Yeah. Also,
because
now,
I figured that Zed and Ollie were in all 10, but.
Right. Amelia now, or Hunter Dino, is the only cast member to have appeared in every episode of Dino Fury and Cosmic Fury.
I guess so. Yeah, because Ollie missed that one, just this one episode.
Yeah.
And then Zeto I think missed 2. I think he missed 2. But yeah, so yeah, that's a pretty cool fun fact. Amelia is the only one that's in every single episode of all 3 seasons. But yeah,
and it also has some notes here about the Dark Ranger. It's the Dino Charge Dark Ranger also uses the suit of Death Rouger, but with Kyoru Navy's helmet.
Yeah. So Death Rouger. So actually, we can pull up image number 20 here. This will be a good example. So this is one of the comic book covers, and Death Rouger had like the red accents on the helmet, which by the way is so much cooler than what we got in the show. And then that's from one of the movies. And then in another movie they go like 100 years into the future, and they all basically, the joke is that they all have the wrong color, and they have Kyoryu Navy instead of Death Ryuger, and Kyoryu Navy has the silver streaks that we saw in the show. So it has Death Ryuger's body, but Kyoryu Navy's helmet, if that makes sense.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of jerry-rigged. Simon Bennett talked about it on some interview that he did, and he says that he doesn't really know why they got Kyoryu Navy's helmet, and he asked Toei if they could just recolor it to be correct with the red, and they said no.
That's so like, I feel like that's one of those decisions that just no one is ever going to understand. Like why like I don't know if maybe they didn't want the helmet modified at all for some reason.
Yeah. So like, I'm pretty sure he was just going to digitally recolor it, and they still said no.
Yeah, that's so weird.
So yeah, it was really weird. But yeah, so as we mentioned previously, we're gonna kind of go over some of the origins of the Dark Ranger, because he is a very obscure character in Power Rangers. So a lot of people watching Cosmic Fury might have no idea what the hell he's even doing here. And people who watch Dino Charge probably still wondering the same thing, because he didn't really get to do anything. But in Dino Charge, in Dino Supercharge, he was the villain. There was Heckle and Snide, and there was like kind of these two back and forth. And then at the end of this season, he becomes good. He's able to separate himself from Snide, and him and Zenowing go back to their home planet, Sentai 5. And Zenowing is gonna train Heckle to become a keeper, and he's gonna be the keeper of the Dark Energy, basically.
Okay.
However, at some point, they are attacked. Heckle has no choice but to use the power of the Dark Energy. Last time this turned him evil, but this time it turned him into the Dino Charge Dark Ranger. However, Zenowing, the Dino Charge Silver Ranger, sacrifices himself to save Heckle, and then this is kind of what turns him on his path to become a ranger and be a good guy, and all this kind of stuff. And then later on, after the events of Shattered Grid in the comics, which is the one where it was like Avengers Endgame and everybody was there.
Yeah.
Basically, there's a bunch of Rangers that are displaced throughout time, and they form a team called the Promethea Rangers, which Heckle was a part of, alongside Kimberly, Ranger Slayer, Tanya, Zero Ranger 2, Yellow, Mike, the Magnet Defender, Cam, the Green Samurai Ranger, and Andros, the Red Space Ranger. So there was like a hodgepodge of Rangers in this team, which is pretty cool. We don't really get to see that very often. Just a team of Rangers from different teams. So I thought that was a pretty cool concept. And then also later on, the Promethea Rangers temporarily become the Solar Rangers, and Heckle was able to become the Blue Solar Ranger. And then that's pretty much where we left off with him. Is that, and then we come to Cosmic Fury, and he's just here existing because Dino Charge actually also takes place in an alternate universe. So we never explained how Heckle got into our universe in the first place.
Yeah. Because he mentioned that he was from someplace else.
Yeah. So he's from a different planet in a different universe.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's a little confusing. They never really explained that. I mean, in Super Ninja Steel, they established that Time Force made these devices that can transport people from different dimensions. So I guess you could just say they just used that, but they didn't. Right. They still didn't ever say that.
But at that point, though, it's also why did he transport from his dimension to this dimension?
Because Tarek called him and asked, I guess. Yeah. because he was working with Tarek as Tarek.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But what I want to know is why him, and why how did he end up coming to our reality to work with Tarek?
You could say because he was a villain, and he was gonna fit in well with the other villains, I guess. I don't know. I
mean, maybe they put out like some sort of like a cross-dimensional beacon thing, and Heckle was the person that answered. I was like, yeah, I can help.
There's probably like other like infinite number of timelines, and like Heckle's the only one that like was free that day.
Yeah.
Because like there's like 10 other Dino Charge Rangers that could have helped too. And and then also the RPM Rangers are from another universe, so they could have helped. But yeah, that's kind of funny that like Heckle, if that is the case, they did like a big dimensional call, like that Heckle was like the only one to respond.
Or he lost the rock paper scissors battle for it. He was like, okay, I guess I'll go.
Yeah. But yeah, I think Heckle's a really cool character. I think the Dark Ranger is a really cool suit. I wish they had the red lines because Death Ryuger is my favorite costume in Sentai Rangers anything. And a lot of it is because of the red accents, but you remove that and it's just like, oh man, it's so close. But I still thought it was really cool to get to see him anyway. Next week, it's going to be episode 8. We're going to see the return of some familiar faces. Slither and Mucus are back, and they're going to be doing some spy shenanigans too. But Josh, before we head out, is there anything else you'd like to add?
I don't think so. Earlier we were talking about possibly streaming Fortnite, Lego Fortnite. Yep. Later this evening. Next Sunday on our Discord, which we'll post to our social media at some point. I am going to be hosting the first name isn't solidified, but I'm going to be hosting the first Illuminerdi movie club. We're going to watch Die Hard.
Christmas time.
On our own, the best Christmas movie ever. So if you want to join in on this, just watch Die Hard, hop into our Discord, and basically we're just gonna discuss the movie. not not it's not going to be a just us sitting around like quotes and talking about like fun moments or stuff, but actually breaking down the movie and discussing whether or not it is a Christmas movie and fits into that genre, or analytical. We're going to be a little bit more analytical about Die Hard,
because nobody
which
else
should be
has done
fun.
this before us.
No, this is completely original. Jake Tapper from CNN does not talk about Die Hard being the best Christmas movie ever every year. This is a novel idea that I came up with all on my own.
You know you're old whenever you reference Jake Tapper,
right?
On that note, thank you all so much for watching today's episode of the Ranger Wrap Up. If you want to be connected to everything else that we're doing on our website, on our social media, on all of our other platforms, please go to the Illuminerdi on Twitter. I'm not going to call it the stupid thing, the stupid other name.
Yeah,
follow the Illuminerdi on Twitter is what it's called. You can't get me to say the other name, but if you want to be all connected on everything going on in the world of pop culture, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you all so much for watching.
I guess I will throw one last thing out here. I
Keep
do
watching.
have I've got 5 invite codes for Blue Sky. So if any of you guys who are watching are interested in getting onto Blue Sky and getting away from the platform formerly known as Twitter, hunt me down on Twitter, and if I have any left, I will send you an invite.
Cool. All righty, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you next week for more of the Ranger Wrap Up.